Greetings, welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today you're going to be watching an interview with a singer called David Readman, who's an English singer. He's mainly involved with the band Pink Cream 69. Most of you out there will know this band. But David's also involved with another band called Voodoo Circle, and also many projects. There's also involvement at the moment currently with Tank. So check out this interview. Thank you David for the interview. His new album's called Medusa. It's a fantastic album. If you want to order a copy, go to his website, David Readman. The link is at the bottom in the subscription. So thank you, David. Thanks for watching it, folks. Enjoy the interview and stay metal. Keep it safe. Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today you're watching an interview with David Readman. Now David's involvement with his main band Pink Cream 69. Most of you out there will know this band. David also involved with the band Voodoo Circle, Tank and many other projects. Now David's just released his new solo album, it's called Medusa. Check it out, you can buy it from his website. I'll send you the link at the bottom in the description. So thank you David for the interview. Thanks folks for watching this, enjoy and stay metal. Cheers. We're talking to David Readman, everybody, from the band Pink Cream 69 plus thousands of other bands that he's in. How are you doing, Dave?
Yeah, not so thousands of other bands that I'm in. Blooming heck. Yeah, not so bad. You know, I've always said, people always say to me, oh, you're doing all these projects, how do you manage it and everything? And to be honest, one band is not enough for me. I just love doing many things. I like to be out there. I like to be on the road. I like to be doing my thing. And this allows me to do that, you know what I mean? So more the merrier, but of course there is a certain level of, you know, how much you can do, you know, for one person. That's
Yeah,
true.
and you've got to balance it out between family and friends as well, so you need some stability, don't you, to mix it all around.
To a point. I think, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to be together with somebody who's in a band and you met them that way and they're out on the road doing the thing, it's just something you have to accept. And at some point, apart from the Rolling Stones, you might end up getting to the point where you don't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean? And that could happen. But me personally, it's my life. There's nothing else I can do. You know.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions, David. First of all, what age did you get into rock music, and was there anybody in your family that inspired you to become a singer or get into rock music in general?
Me personally, my father listened a lot to the Beatles. He had he had a like a cassette. Well, it wasn't a cassette deck. It was an 8-track player with a record player and a radio. And in those days, you bought the whole thing. You know what I mean? And it was an 8-track player. I wish I still had that thing. I ended up collecting 8-tracks myself after that. You know, and he listened a lot to the Beatles and many other things. A bit of Queen. From time to time, we had the odd single. I think we had Flash Gordon, the single at home, probably Bohemian Rhapsody on single. But it wasn't really that he was particularly a rock fan. My mother definitely wasn't. She was more into like the Hollies and Cliff Richard, and she still is to this day. But there was a lot of music at home. My mother sings. I was forced to go to church every Sunday, so I was in the choir, which I didn't like at the time, but of course now, you know, it paid off. You could say, you know, I had like a sort of upbringing with music and melody and a bit of education in that respect. And so I started off playing guitar. So it would have been sort of 80, definitely in the 80s, 86, 87, when I really started to play guitar. And towards the beginning of the 90s, I was then listening to a lot of Hendrix and stuff like that. And of course, at that time, obviously in 86, 87, there was a lot going on. Whitesnake 87 record, a lot of Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. And it was just that was in the charts, you know, yourself, you know, those were the glory days, you know what I mean? So I was into music anyway, and I like a bit of Hendrix and a lot of 70s stuff. And it just ended up being in the charts around that time, you know what I mean? I was never really a Bon Jovi fan or Europe or anything like that, you know what I mean? But those were the glory days, you know. So it was that a lot of people from that time still like rock music, you know.
All right, you can say you've been in the choir. I mean, Rob Alford was also in the choir, and also Roy Khan from the band Camelot, who was in Conception. He had something to do with like growing up with like that sort of thing. But definitely Rob Alford, he was in the choir. So was you in the same choir as Rob?
Don't remember, Rob. I think it was possibly in a different church, but in a different age group. But but my choir leader always used to say to me, Dave, he used to say, "Look, you're going to be a bass." He said, "Your voice is going to break, and you're going to sing bass." And I was like, "I'm not. I am not going to be a bass. There's nothing wrong with being a bass or a baritone. You know, there's many singers out there that have made careers, but I thought to myself, no, I want to sing." You know, like Queen or someone like that. I want to be able to sing the high stuff. And luckily, I got, obviously my voice changed and I became a tenor. So,
So what was the first band you was in before you became a professional singer? Can you remember the band, the name, everything?
Well, I was in when I was 14, 15 at school, Townley High School in Burnley. I was in a band with some lads and we did Beatles covers. So I was playing guitar and I was singing, and I definitely didn't want to be a singer. I wanted to be a guitar player. And the name of that band was, I don't know, I think it was Alanda or something like that. And, we did that for a long time, and we did a few gigs. We had a manager, and we had a couple of girls singing as well, and we were doing all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? We were definitely, and a lot of these people to this day are still in the music business. They're out there doing ABBA tributes or whatever. I don't know. They're out there, and especially in the UK. And after that, I was then in a band called Sixsmith, and we then we played like the Carlton in Burnley, and we did like just little festival stuff, and we had a bit of a following. It was really cool. By then, of course, I'd left the guitar behind and I was just singing,
Okay then, so what was the first professional band you joined before Pink Cream 69?
I think the first professional band that I joined was a band called Whack.
Whack.
They were called Whack. It was an horrific name, but they before that time were called what were they called? Purple? No. They'd been signed to Island Records, and they'd released a couple of records with a female singer called something completely else. And they'd had quite a career with it. And she'd left, and they basically restarted. And then we were looking out for a record deal. And I was lucky to be a part of that time when you'd do gigs and you'd invite record companies, right? And there'd be like 7 or 8 different AO&R guys who were hunting for you, and they were offering you money to give you a record deal, taking you out for dinner and doing the whole thing. And that was what was happening at that time, and I was lucky to be a part of that, and that was kind of like the tail end of that sort of thing happening. And I then basically left those guys, and then I joined Thomas McRocklin, who was then doing the Steve Vai stuff with Bad for Good. And he was in Newcastle, so I moved to Newcastle for a bit, joined his band for a while, and then I joined Misha Calvin.
I've got one of his albums. Tony Martin was involved with him, wasn't he, for a short spell?
Yeah. So I was then living in London, and I was jamming with him for a long time until I realised he was not going to give me any money that he promised.
That sounds a bit like Tony Martin's story.
Yeah. I was drawing dole at the time, but he would then give me a tenner a day, basically. Because you know what I mean? Yeah, and he just wouldn't. So I just left. So then I auditioned for Pink Cream 69 and moved to Germany, basically.
Well, what did you think of Pink Cream 69 prior to you joining them with Andy singing?
Well, to be honest, when I got the first demos that I got of Pink Cream 69 were with Dougie White.
All right, okay, Dougie White, yeah.
And I just met Dougie for the second time in Belgium, actually, because we hadn't really met so much before, but we'd always kind of followed each other in a way because I done some Demon's Eye stuff that he was doing as well. And we actually sang on a track, a Voodoo Circle track.
Yeah, I've got the album. The duet, it was a duet one, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, you know, we never actually met. It was one of those Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney things, but not as big, you know. But
But better.
possibly, possibly
In
better.
my eyes, anyway.
Yeah, but where were we? Yeah, yeah. So, but you know, obviously, I'd done the demos, and then they, you know, I'd sort of done the audition and everything, and then they said, look, you know, here's the records that we'd done before. You're gonna have to learn a few songs, like, and then of course, then I really had a chance to listen to Pink Cream 69. And for me at the time, honestly, it was a little bit too nice for me at the time because I was, you know, a bit grungy at the time, and I was, you know, in 93, I was 23 years old. I mean, at that time, there was a bit of, you know, Soundgarden going on and a bit of heavy Skid Row type sort of stuff, you know what I mean? And I was listening to that kind of thing, and it was just a bit too nice for me. I mean, you know, we were planning to move on a little bit. We made quite a different record change, of course, which nobody really appreciated and didn't go down well at all. We then refound ourselves later on, you know, with Electrified. But it was well-made stuff, and I like the Games People Play record. It was a bit more sort of my thing, Queensryche, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, great songs, but just a bit too sweet for me personally. But I just thought, well, we're going to do it a bit different now with me in the band, and I could deal with that. You know?
Right, then was it easy for you to learn the really early material? Because I like One Size Fits All. That's probably my favourite album with Andy singing.
I think it was easy enough at the time to learn the stuff. I mean, the only hard thing is, of course, you've never heard this stuff before, and that has to somehow get in your brain. You know,
Yeah.
if you've heard it on the radio or something, you've already got the melody and the arrangement somehow, and it's just a case of, you know, learning the lyrics. And I'd heard nothing from the band before. I mean, I'd heard of Halloween and stuff like that from Germany and different bands, but you know, I'd heard nothing of this band before. I mean, you know, when I auditioned, it was really just melody maker, you know. Rock band looking for a singer with record company, you know, and that, of course, that was what I was looking for. You know, I mean, I had no money at the time. I couldn't even afford to buy the melody maker. I basically would write it on my hand, the telephone number and the address, and then send the demo. You know.
Yeah. So how German were Pink Cream 69 to you then musically before you joined? Did you compare to the Scorpions? Did you compare it to Halloween? What did you compare them to before you joined them?
Honestly, I didn't compare them to anybody. I didn't see this German thing. I mean, you can imagine for me, Germany at that time, I didn't know where Karlsruhe was. You know, to look where Karlsruhe was, I had to go to the library, get an atlas, have a look on the, you know, in the atlas to see where Karlsruhe was in the world, and then look to see if I can find some kind of pictures of what Karlsruhe might look like. In my mind, Germany was like this dark place and bullet holes everywhere and still a mess from the war. You know what I mean? So I get to Germany to do the audition, and I'm like, oh my God, this is bloody Disneyland here. Full of cash. Everybody's outside eating, everybody's drinking the beer and having a good time and shit. I'm going to stay here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a no-brainer for me to say, right, I could have commuted, but what for? I mean, it was Disneyland.
Right, so how many people auditioned for Pink Cream 69 prior to you then? And how did you feel when you got the job?
Well, I think before that they'd had like between 500-600 tapes or something like that. They'd asked Dougie White to join the band. He joined the band, but then he left because he got the job with Rainbow, of course. That's a no-brainer. He's gonna, you know, say, look, guys, I'm really sorry.
They did the one album with him, didn't they, Richie?
Yeah. So I mean, basically they, you know, they were stuck then, and they sort of like went back to the drawing board again. And I think they put the advertisement out there again. They got my tape, and after 500-600 tapes, they got my tape and invited me over, you know, for an audition. And I said to them, look, you know, I can come, but I can't pay for the flight, man. I mean, you're gonna have to, you know, I was unemployed. I was on the dole. I mean, I just actually auditioned for Adrian Smith.
Oh yeah, was that when he did that Silver and Gold album? What I think it was called or something.
Yeah, something like that. You know, I said to him also. He called me up one day, Adrian Smith, and he said, "Look, I like your demo. same thing, record company, blah blah blah. And can you come down? I said, look, I can come down to London, no worries, man.
Right.
But I got no money for the train. And he said, look, I'll pay for it. So same thing with Pink Cream. They sent me through the post. They sent me the plane tickets. Of course, these days it would be an email, and sent me a CD to learn the songs with Dougie White. Of course, it was very different than the Pink Cream stuff. And I came over, did like 2 or 3 days, recorded, jam with a band. And then over the weekend, it was a Sunday before I would fly back, and they asked me to join the band, and I was like, whoa, this was a game changer because I've been sort of in the UK, and I've been hanging out with Adrian Smith a bit, and starting to move things a little bit, which was really good.
All right then.
The game changer, was obviously if I would join this band, it would be an exclusive deal with Sony Music.
So when you look back at all the Pink Cream 69 albums that you've done in previous, which one's your favourite that you recorded with the band?
For me, it's a close one between Thunderdome and Electrified.
Right, yeah. Thunderdome's a good album. Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of people, they don't seem to always consider Thunderdome for whatever reason, but it's if you listen back to that record, it's a really well-made record. But of course, Electrified was groundbreaking in that respect because we'd sort of gone back to the roots a little bit, and we went to Japan and we did a lot of things with that record. So obviously Shame's on there, and that's one of the songs that stayed with us.
Yeah, a bit like Judas Priest, Breaking the Law. That's your version of Breaking the Law, the classic Pink Cream 69 song, I guess. I mean, I like the album Headstrong. The last album, I think that's great.
It's a killer record. There's no doubt about it. It's killer, but for me, it's a killer record. But I think for whatever reason, I have a fondness for those two records.
I think one of my favourite albums that you did was Sonic Dynamite.
Yeah, also for a lot of people, I mean, it's difficult for me in a way to decide because it's not. Well, yeah, I'm not listening to this stuff on a regular basis. Every now and then I'll have Spotify on and I'll have a listen through and stuff, and I'll go, oh yeah, sounds pretty cool, or oh yeah, I remember that song, but I mean, I haven't heard that song in years. And personally, for me to listen to a record, it was always best. I'd be sat in a bar somewhere and somebody because I was in that bar and they knew me, they'd put that record on. And then I'd be having a few drinks, and then slowly I'd realize, wait a minute, I know this band. You know what I mean? And then, I know that singer. And then I could really subliminally kind of listen to the record without being able to skip songs. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of listen to it. And that was always the best way to listen to the stuff.
All right, then. So, I mean, like I say, Headstrong's a fantastic album. You've done so many projects, haven't you? I mean, your other big band, Voodoo Circle, I love that stuff as well. I think you've done some fantastic albums with that band.
It's been really great. Alex is a machine when it comes to to writing songs. Obviously I was his sidekick in many ways. I would obviously write the lyrics and a lot of the melodies and stuff. So we generally did it together. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I basically left the band, or I rejoined the band, because it just wasn't happening for me anymore. That chemistry, that thing that we had in the beginning, wasn't there anymore. But as time goes by, time heals, and we I think it was last year we released record number 4 or 5.
Lots of loaded.
Yeah, after this break,
I mean, it's kind of weird because when I look at Voodoo Circle, I'm thinking, my God, it's Primal Fear members in Voodoo Circle. They're in Sinner. They're in this. They're in that. It's like it gets bloody confusing.
True. I mean, there was I think not at the moment it's not necessarily like that, but it was a time when the drummer, the bass player, and the guitar player from Primal Fear was Voodoo Circle. That's true.
Yeah, it's just completely mad.
I thought to myself sometimes, this is incestual in a way, but
I agree. I think
that was just the way it was at the time. You know what I mean? And then I think they made a Yawn record. And it was the same kind of lineup, kind of. As well. Which is, it's good and bad.
So when you look at the Voodoo Circle albums, then which one's your favourite that you did? Which one do you think's had the strongest songs?
I would say More Than One Way Home.
Okay. What is the reason why?
I think I'm definitely a big fan of Cry for Love, and the song More Than One Way. I think vocally, I felt strong on that record, it was a real sort of, also sound wise, very natural sounding record. I like the new record, but it's and the production's incredible. But I think we've got on a way now where it's got a little bit too produced in a way. I think to a point, and I hope that we can roll that back a little bit and get back to the roots a little bit.
So, what did you think of the album that you didn't sing on? Because I think it was a guy from what band was he in? Not Mystic Prophecy. Oh God,
Herbie Lyons.
Yeah. What did you think of that album? Because I like the music, but I didn't quite think. No disrespect to the guy, I didn't think he was quite suitable for the music for the albums.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, please come back, David. And that's no disrespect to that guy.
Yeah. No, I never listened to it.
Yeah.
So, never listened to it, to be honest. I mean, for a long time, they were still using the picture with him in the band on Spotify, which was a bit sort of strange. But but I actually met Herbie before the Corona. Actually, we did a gig together, and so I met him for the first time, and that was nice to meet up with this guy that obviously took my place and everything, and he'd moved on. He'd moved on to do other things, and it was cool. We did a concert together, and that's it.
I think he's in Firewind now, isn't he? I believe.
He's doing a lot of good stuff, man. He's doing good stuff. He's more that kind of yawn type sort of thing, I guess. Vocally a bit aggressive, and
Got like a raspy voice, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does also vocals with Avantasia as well.
Right, that's where the backing vocals, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay then. So are you doing a new album with Voodoo Circle? Is that something that you're going to be doing now you're back in the band? Is that something in the very near future?
Absolutely. Like I said, we released last year, and I think releasing in the Corona times, it kind of dropped and got lost in a way, the record. But yeah, we're on it. I met Alex about 2 weeks ago. We did a gig together.
Send him my regards.
I certainly shall. And he looked at me after the gig. He said, "Come on, Dave." He said, "We're gonna have to get this record made." And I was like, "Yeah."
I'm surprised you're not in that project that he's doing. Is it Rock Meets Classical? I'm surprised he asked you to. Have you played on that lab show?
No. I've tried many times to get involved in that. Many times I heard through the grapevine that there's a chance that I could be somehow a part of it. But I'm quite dark. Are you using this as video as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a lot I can do, really, unfortunately.
It's all right.
But I know you've got good lighting there, man.
just a normal light bulb.
There's some good lighting there, man.
It's just English light bulbs are better than European ones. I think.
So wait a minute. I got to improve things here because I'm on YouTube as well, man. You know what I'm saying? So I have a lamp here. It only takes a few minutes. I got to do something. Let's see. Any difference?
There you are. Yo, you're brighter than me. I need glasses. I can't see you. Oh, God, blimey. That's cool, man. Yeah. So like Voodoo Circle, I see you are.
Rubbish in the background, anyway.
So you are doing your own Voodoo Circle. That's good. I mean, you've also done like other bands. You've done Adagio, which have done like three. Did you do 3 albums with those guys?
Yeah, I did. We did 2 studio records and a live record.
That's right. Yeah, because they were very. Do you agree with me? They're the French version of Symphony X.
Absolutely.
Did they say that as well? We are the French Symphony X.
Not necessarily. I think they were definitely an influence, and I think if we would have continued, we could have definitely achieved quite a lot with that band, But unfortunately, once again, and quite often, when I do leave a band, it's for 2 reasons: a lack of respect. If I feel like I'm not being respected anymore for who I am as a person, as an artist, I think there has to be a certain amount of respect involved, and money. If I'm not getting a fair share of what we're doing there, or there's some kind of weird stuff going on or whatever, then I'm done. I'll move on and do something else. It's like I can't do this for free.
I mean, for me personally, I think everybody in a band should get equal shares. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
No, I think so. But there is obviously somebody that's doing a lot of work. Just like obviously with Voodoo Circle, Alex is it's his baby. He's the boss of everything. He's doing far more work than I'm doing, of course. And if he creams a bit off the top, that's his business. That's no problem for me, But there's a certain level of, what I can accept. I mean, and in the past, things happen sometimes financially, and it's not particularly correct, or the money sometimes can affect the relationship, and it breaks down. So we did actually try to reform again with me on 2 or 3 times with the Adagio stuff. Didn't work out, because he then sent me a contract with amounts of money for doing gigs and tours, where I just thought, this, didn't we just already talk about this like 10 years ago? So we never moved on, unfortunately, and that's the way it goes.
That's a shame. I mean, you've done other projects as well. You've done a band called Room Experience. Never heard of that.
That was very friendly. That was a really great guy from Italy, and I think for him, he always wanted to do something, and he got me involved, and it was kind of a dream for him that we would work together. We did do that. Would be nice to play some shows and do more, but I think that was never really intended. It was always intended to make 2 nice, solid records. And with Gianluca, we finally met 2 or 3 years ago in Italy, and was a great experience. It was really, I'm still in that band, I guess. I never left.
So you got 2 albums. What style of music is it for those people that don't know?
It's very melodic. It's quite soft. It's very melodic. The guy writes incredible songs, and the second one's a bit tougher, but it's melodic rock, Italian style melodic rock.
Right, the other band as well, Anderson, Lan, and Readman. Is that Anderson, the keyboard player from Royal Hunt, or is it somebody else?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, that started out as a Frontiers project, basically, and I was told it was Anderson's solo record, but then it ended up with names on the front, So I was like, okay. With that record, I was a little bit let down to a point, because I got these demos. I sang on the demos, and I just thought, well, they're going to improve on the drums. They're going to probably redo guitars and stuff like that. They did nothing. They just polished it a little bit and released it, and I was very surprised. It's still a well appreciated record, well accepted and everything, but for me personally, I was a bit let down by that record, and I learned a lesson for future stuff that I would work with.
Okay, then you did the Almanca thing. That was with Victor from Rage, wasn't it?
The Almanac stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So how many albums did you do with them? Because it's only the 2, wasn't it? Is it Kingslayer and Tasla, what do they call it? Tassa?
Tassa,
yeah.
We did 2 records, and the beginning of that, the whole thing with Victor was fantastic. It was a really great thing. Great musicians, great band with Andy B. Frank, Jeanette on vocals. And Michael Kohler would then play drums on my solo record, more or less, because he's an incredible drummer, and he has a studio, and he would be involved in that respect. But what we had in the beginning there, unfortunately, it didn't take long before it just went bad.
That's a shame.
It just didn't work out for us. And like they say, too many cooks spoil the broth. It was kind of like everybody sort of wanted their thing, but in the end, nobody listened anyway. So
it could be too many fingers in the pie, as they say in England.
Too many fingers in the pie. You fingers somewhere else. Anyway.
I wonder what you're thinking. So after that,
you fish and chips there anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you've done that Pendulum of Fortune. That was another project you did 2 albums, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was with Bodo, and we did a tour with that. We played gigs. We did a small tour with the whole thing, and that was planned that we would do more, but at the end of the day, Bodo ended up joining Schenker again, and that was history, really, which makes sense. I was a bit disappointed at the time, I guess, because we put so much energy and work into it, but I understand, it's a solid job to be out with Schenker. I mean, they're out there playing. It's incredible, and I enjoyed working with Bodo. We'd already played many times before doing tribute stuff and cover stuff with different artists in Germany. And we finally got the chance to work together. And he played Shelter from the Storm on my solo record.
Great song, that, by the way. Great song.
Thank you.
So, I mean, after that, you did Tank, but you only did one album with Tank, didn't you? Reignition. What happened there? Is there still two Tank bands around, or is it just one Mick Tucker Tank? What's going on there?
Possible that there's two. I mean, I don't think he's not necessarily doing anything. What's he called? The other guy, the bass, he sings and plays bass. What's he called?
Oh, I don't know. I know it's Mick Tucker on guitar, but I mean, you did the album.
Yeah, Mick. Of course, Mick. But there's another one, the original singer, where everybody basically writes comments like the original Tank is the best and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? No, I mean, I'm still in the band. We got plans for shows next year, but it's been a break, of course, because it got very difficult to do any shows that were planned. To be able to, people move on, people have got lives and stuff like that. And next year is definitely on. I think we play in the UK. I'm sure there'll be other shows coming in as well. It was actually my idea to take all the hit songs, all the good songs that they'd done that were recorded very different, well recorded, but different sounds and sometimes maybe not the best quality of recording from the 80s. And I said, look, let's redo those songs. And we did that, and we went to Japan and Australia. So
yeah, you went with Gale Skull, and is it Gale Skull and Raven?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I toured with the Raven in 2018 doing merch.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You know those guys. And Cliff called me up one day. I was at work, and he said, Dave, you can go and ask your boss. He said, in like 5-6 weeks, we can go to Australia. I was like, oh my God.
Did you do any Japanese gigs when you were up? Because you're not far from Japan, are you? Australia.
Well, the plan was to move on, but we didn't. So we flew on for 2 weeks, and then we went back to Japan, and we played 2 times Tokyo.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because when you mentioned about Tank, the previous singer was Dougie White, and you've worked with him before. So it's like you and Dougie White seem to be like best of friends or something going on there.
Well, this is it. We were like following each other in so many ways, and there was a connection somehow, and it was always kind of like, oh, say hello to Dave, or say hello to Dougie when you speak to him or whatever, And sometimes I think he called somebody in a car over the system, and I was in the car and I was talking to him, on the Bluetooth system, but never really met. And then we finally met in the Netherlands before the corona, and of course in Belgium like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So weird in a way, but yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you very quickly, why did Dennis leave Pink Cream 69? I mean, obviously he's gone to Magnum. Are you still friends? What's happening there?
Absolutely. He just mixed my solo record. Still friends. I'm working with him in about 2 weeks in a studio. We're going to be working on a couple of tracks for something completely different. No, we're friends. It's good as it's ever been. You know what I mean? I mean, there might have been a time when he was maybe a bit more upset for whatever reason. I think with Pink Cream 69, we've all considered, maybe doing something else. But there's a certain longevity with the band, and we're out there. We just did these couple of shows. I'm not sure anymore why Dennis left the band. I think he wanted to concentrate on other stuff. He's out with Magnum. He's doing different things. He's happy enough. There is a life after Pink Cream 69.
Yeah, because he's a big producer, isn't he? And he's worked with Gus G as well. Toured with Gus G.
He's a busy man. He does such an amazing job. He mixes so incredible these days, and he's just a top guy.
So what about the new bass player you've got? How did he fit in with the band? How many auditions did you do before picking the new Pink Cream bass player?
We never really audition. It's kind of like if you've been a roadie for long enough in Pink Cream 69, it's very possible that you might end up being in the band. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I mean, Roman Basiled has been a good friend of mine for many years, and I got him involved at some point down the line to do some roadieing. He's in his own band, Sons of Sounds, and they're out there doing their thing. They're three brothers, and they're an incredible band. And I got him roadieing mainly because I thought it gets him involved with other musicians. He ended up roadieing for other bands because he's very good. He plays incredible bass, sings, but of course he's very good, drives and everything. And he ended up doing us, but it was like a no-brainer in respect because he knew the songs. You know what I mean? He knew the stuff. It's not Dennis Ward, of course, but he's doing a really good job so far.